Hello! Today I'm going to be painting on shoes. I've had this fabric paint for quite a long time. I still haven't opened it and used it, so today is a perfect day to try that. I've got some cheap shoes here which I figured would be perfect for a canvas, so let's have a bit of fun and let's get into it. I've seen quite a lot of videos out there where people are painting on leather shoes and fancy Vans. These are not quite that expensive. I got these in a store called Big W, which is in Australia, for the grand total of $3.50. They are surprisingly comfortable. I've got them in a size 8 so that they fit my feet, and I'm wearing a pair now because of course I couldn't buy just one pair. I have never painted on shoes before. I hope this isn't going to be a total disaster today, but I guess the first thing is to remove the laces because I really don't want to paint on those. There were some that had no laces, but they didn't have my size, so I had to pick these ones up. I might see if I can get some of the laceless ones at some point too. That's better. And I have some fabric paint, because regular old acrylic paint won't stay on here. It will crack as the fabric moves. Fabric paint is designed to bend with the fabric, so that's why I picked this up. But it comes in a whole load of cute little pots, and there's a big range of colours. I picked the largest box, of course, to have the widest range of colours. Starting with the first pair of shoes, I'm using a plain old graphite pencil to draw a design onto the canvas shoes. I couldn't decide which colours to choose out of the set, so I'm going for quite a lot of them, and I've picked a blobby kind of design, like a jigsaw puzzle, but with more of an amoeba kind of look. The pattern is completely random, although both shoes actually did end up looking quite similar to each other, which was nice. And I'm starting off with my deepest red colour at the toe. I had thought to just paint random colours on, but looking through the set of 36 colours, I did have a lot of pretty much every colour in the rainbow spectrum, so I'm doing a rainbow style on this shoe. Oh, it's so predictable. Working from the coolest reds first, going into warmer ones, into orange, yellow, green, etc. So I thought this was going to be a pretty quick video to make. How wrong I was. This took forever to paint. Because I'm painting on what is basically unprimed canvas, it really does suck up the paint, and I had to use a generous amount to work it in and not get white patches. I did actually end up having to retouch the shoes as well, because there were a few places where I could see the white of the shoe coming through, and this wasn't so noticeable until the paint had dried. This was my first time using fabric paint properly, and I have to say that I really like this set. This fabric paint is from the Mont Marte signature range, which they've only just started doing in the last few years. Mont Marte is an Australian company, I'm pretty sure, and they started out with a lot of really cheap art supplies, you know, really student grade beginner stuff, but lately they have started creating a lot more products for more professional artists. And their signature range is such a higher quality. I've used a few different products and I haven't really been disappointed yet. These fabric paints are a nice consistency. They're quite thick but not too thick. And they also have a high pigment load, so they were really bright and vibrant. There is a certain level of transparency in them though. As you can see, particularly in the yellow area, my pencil marks are still showing really strongly, so I did fix this up later on, but for now I was just painting on the colours. A few areas I did blend the colours together to try and make a more cohesive transition from one colour to the next. The paints blended well together, and I have no complaints whatsoever with this set. I did choose the largest 36 set. There are smaller ones of 24 and 12, but I actually think the larger set is better because there are just so many more colour choices, and for this type of thing it really worked well. And they're still quite reasonably priced too. At the time of buying this I paid $30 for the whole set, which is actually really good. That's Australian. I'll link the Mont Marte paints down below. I'm not sure how easy they will be to get overseas, but I bought these in an actual physical store, the Art Shed, so I'll link to them, but hopefully if I can find them on Amazon or anywhere like that, I'll put some links in there for international viewers too. Going back to the shoes, this was a really interesting experience. I've never painted on fabric or shoes before. And while the shoes do act quite a lot like a canvas, they also have all these curves that a regular flat canvas does not. So I was taking that into account as I was going. I was getting it all over the sole as well. I probably should have taped them, but I was just a bit too lazy to do that, so I just kind of kept wiping the paint off as I went. You can see in a few areas that the colour gradient transition didn't work quite as well. For example, that dark green going into the teal. They are by no means perfect, but I'm actually really happy with how these shoes came out. I think the colours look really pretty together, and I do like the rainbow effect that I created. So right at the back I've gone with the purples and violets. I decided to leave some parts of the shoe white, like the top edge and also the little pull tab thing at the back there, but those are also fabric and will easily be painted too. You'll see that in the second pair of shoes that I painted. I think this first shoe took me a couple of hours, mainly because I didn't really know what the pattern was going to be like, and I needed to kind of plan where all of the colours were going to go. Then I remembered I've got to do a second shoe. Oh joy! This one was a bit sloppier because I just wanted to get it finished. I did consider painting the toe of this shoe purple and doing a reverse rainbow order, but in the end my need for symmetry won out, so I've just pretty much painted this shoe exactly the same as the other one. I had also completely forgotten about the tongues of the shoes, which also need to be painted because otherwise it's going to have this big white bit showing through when I put the shoe on. I do fully intend on wearing these, so I wanted them to look good. And in the end I matched the tongue of the shoe with the green colours that were around the same point of it. But firstly, I need to finish painting the entire pattern around the outer part of the shoe. I used that dark sap green on both shoes around the top parts of the lace area. It just looked better when the two shoes kind of matched together, otherwise they would have just been completely random colours everywhere. And most of the time I do like things that match. Let me know in the comments, have you ever tried painting on shoes? I thought I would start off with the cheaper canvas ones just in case I made a huge mess. But I think it could be really fun to paint on leather shoes as well, or maybe even something like a handbag. But then one needs to purchase leather paints, and I don't think I can be bothered with that right now. They're quite expensive to get the nice ones. I might consider doing that in the future. I mean, this lot cost less than $40, so that's a pretty cheap and fun project. This kept me busy for quite a few days, and there is limitless potential for what you can paint on the shoes. So because I had all those pencil marks left, I'm going in with some of the silver paint that was provided in the set. This silver paint is really nice. It's a gorgeous metallic colour and high quality, so I'm super glad that's in there. There's also a gold one which you will see later on as well. I think this just finished off the shoes perfectly. I really like how they look, that kind of blobby jigsaw effect. And you can see there's a few patchy bits which I had to go over in the end. I also went around just the edge of the rubber with the silver too. Not sure how long that's going to stay on there, but I figured I might as well because I'd already left a few marks from the paints. The red in particular was very staining and it just would not come off the rubber. But overall, I'm really happy with how these shoes turned out. I'm definitely going to have to wear these, quite possibly to a party that's coming up later next month. The shoes themselves are actually pretty comfortable. They're a little flat for my feet because I do have high arches, but I have walked around in one of the pairs and it wasn't too bad, so I can wear them for a short amount of time, and it's surely more comfortable than wearing high heels. Here we go, I'm finally adding in the paint on the tongue. This was really difficult because I'm having to paint inside the shoe. I didn't spend too much time on this part, just enough to cover it so when the shoe ties together you can see it poking through and it doesn't look stupid. And I left a white border there as well. Here's what the shoes looked like before, boring old white canvas. And here's what they look like now, an insanely bright rainbow. I love them, they're so crazy. And they fit my eccentric artist side perfectly. I just love them. The colours are so bright and I'm really glad I just picked all the colours. Well, most of the colours, because on my second pair of shoes, I'm using a set of 4 paints that I did not use in the rainbow, and these are the really bright pink ones, going from lightest to darkest, and I thought this would make a really nice gradient, starting from the lightest pink at the toe, merging into this really bright bubblegum pink for the front part of the shoe and going up into the laces. I did try to merge the two colours together. It wasn't very successful, I'm just not very good at doing that. And next up we have this incredibly vibrant magenta colour. which merged in beautifully with the brighter pink there. I think the lightest pink is not quite the same shade as the other three. It's leaning more towards the orangey side, whereas the other three pinks are definitely more of that purplish magenta colour. But it's okay, I wasn't too worried about that. I still quite like having that on the toe of the shoe, but I think the majority of the shoe ended up being this magenta. And you can see on this one I'm painting the edges as well, so all of the shoe is painted except for the sole. I thought I would go something a bit more basic for this shoe because the rainbow ones just took so long, and I really did want to complete both pairs of shoes. I'm going in with that darkest plum colour. It's a gorgeous one and it really does merge in well with the magenta. I also painted the tab area too. It's a bit messy on the inside. I tried to make it as neat as possible, but mostly when I'm wearing the shoes you can't actually see it, so it's not too much of a problem. I remembered to paint the tongues this time. I'd learned my lesson. I'd definitely like to paint more shoes in the future because this was really fun, and I do have other ideas for designs. I mean, really, you can go as simple or as complex as you like. It would be so fun to paint something like a masterpiece on a pair of shoes, but time constraints meant I just had to go with something a little bit more simple than that. And these colours really appeal to my girly side. My personality seems to be split into heavy metal, gothic, black, and then the other side, which is bright pink. And I do tend to wear clothes that are either black or pink, or other primary colours like blue or red. So I figured pink shoes kind of go in with some of the things that I have in my wardrobe. They look quite good with jeans as well. These shoes didn't take quite as long to paint as the rainbow ones, but they still took a long time. Because the canvas of the shoes is so thirsty, I had to really paint the layers on thickly, and I must have used about half the bottle of the magenta on this. I'm pretty sure you can't buy single bottles of these Mont Marte paints, so I'll have to just buy another set if I run out of colours. That's kind of annoying, but never mind. The price of them is pretty decent, so I can live with that. Just going around tidying up some of my edges and then finishing off the tongue, which I didn't do quite as neatly as some of the others because I just wanted to finish this. I felt like the shoes needed something else over the top of the gradient, so I'm painting on little white flowers, and then I got the gold paint out to add in some small accents on those and also to paint around the edges of the shoe. A simple design, but I actually really like how this turned out as well. The white looks so good on that dark plum. And here's how these shoes turned out. I think the gold just really finished them off, and I like how shiny it is. Both the metallics in the set were excellent. You can see there are a few flaws in the shoe when it comes to the gradient, but I like the colours. I think it's really bright and pretty. Maybe the gold around the edge is a little too much. I'm not sure how long that will stay on the rubber, but I guess I'll find out with time. So here are both pairs of shoes that I painted today. They are very bright now, aren't they? I think I really like the rainbow ones the best. The pink ones are okay, it's just that there are a few little flaws in there, like this little bit isn't quite as graded as I would have liked. But let me know in the comments what you think of them. Which is your favourite pair? And would you wear these, or are they just too hideous? I had fun painting them. It took much longer than I expected, but it was a good time, and I can see me painting more shoes in the future, and I certainly have a lot of paint left in this really excellent paint set. I'm so glad I bought it. I recommend this. It's relatively inexpensive for the amount of paint you get, and it does seem to go quite a long way, although I did use that magenta the most out of all of the colours. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and click the subscribe button, and I will see you all again really soon in my next video. Have a great day out there. I'll swatch you later. Bye!